The confession didn't close this case. It reopened it. Because once investigators looked closer, they realized the story wasn't finished. Some cases had been closed too early. Some victims were never identified, and some questions were never answered. When the confession finally came, investigators weren't relieved. They were concerned because details didn't line up perfectly, timelines conflicted, and certain disappearances suddenly made sense. Cold cases aren't reopened lightly. They're reopened when something doesn't sit right. Several disappearances linked to this case were labeled resolved, without bodies, without forensic confirmation, and without arrests. At the time, investigators had limited tools, no DNA databases, no advanced forensic imaging, no way to test what technology couldn't yet see. Today, that's changed. Advancements in forensic science have reopened doors once thought sealed. DNA genealogy, trace analysis, digital reconstruction, evidence that sat untouched for decades can now speak. But only if it still exists. Not every case can be revisited. Some evidence was destroyed. Some records were lost. Some crime scenes were never preserved. Time doesn't just hide the truth. Sometimes it erases it. And that reality shapes what justice can look like now. Investigators now face a difficult balance. What can still be proven? What can only be acknowledged? And how do you bring closure when certainty is no longer possible? In some cases, justice isn't a verdict, it's an answer. Some victims connected to this case still don't have names. They were found, but never identified. Reopening these files isn't just about solving crimes. It's about restoring identity. Because being unnamed is a second disappearance. Reopening cold cases sends a message. That time doesn't erase responsibility, that victims aren't forgotten, and that silence doesn't equal resolution. Even decades later, accountability still matters. This series followed one case across decades, how it began, what went wrong, who paid the price, and what questions remain. Some answers came too late. Some may never come at all. This case reminds us why true crime matters. Not for shock, not for spectacle, but for memory, for accountability, and for the people who were nearly erased by time. Thank you for following this case from start to finish. Some stories don't end, they wait.